Of all the videos that I do here on this channel, you guys really seem to love when I make over real websites that have been submitted by you to help them do better with client generation and persuasion and, just to look better overall. And I've recently been getting some comments that are like, that's great, Wes, but what about mobile sites? Aren't they super important too? And I just thought that was a really great idea to actually take this video to transform some of your mobile websites to give them a better mobile experience and just to sidestep a lot of those most common issues or mistakes that I see people making all the time on mobile. Because let's face it, most people treat the mobile version of their website as a complete afterthought, even though we all know that mobile accounts for over half of all website traffic. And I've definitely been guilty of this myself because, if you've watched my other website makeover videos, I've never really even touched on the mobile side. So I wanted to correct that here and now today and show you 3 viewer submitted websites that aren't quite hitting the mark on mobile and what I would do differently to make the mobile experience smoother, look more trustworthy, and just help with client generation in general, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? It's not about having a pretty website. We know that by now. It's about having a website that checks all the right boxes, looks trustworthy, and pulls people further into your funnel, helping them feel really good about taking that next step with you and your business. So let's just get right into the first website submitted by Andrew Henderson. We're going to thesmileloungeoregon.com. All right, so here we go. We've got the Smile Lounge Oregon ready to look at. So let's go ahead and just take a look at what we've got here. So right away, I'm seeing some issues. It says we help you create a healthy, beautiful smile. The text is all fine. The issues I'm having are just basically, this is not a great user experience when it comes to mobile because the text is kind of cramped into the middle. It's probably a little too big. It's overlapping with the image of the family. So this is on mobile, you're not seeing the desktop version of it, but on desktop, it's obviously a wide photo of this family all kind of picnicking together. Right now, we're losing all of that. We're just seeing the dad and the images, or the text rather, is going on top of his face, which isn't generally great. That's not always the worst thing in the world, but I think we can do better. And then here we've got the subtext or subheadline rather. See how pushed into the middle that all is. That can definitely be expanded out. It doesn't have to, the margins on the sides don't have to be that severe because right now we're looking at, 10 lines of text when that should be probably 3. So, and then we've got 2 competing calls to action here. And I don't ever like when there's 2 different buttons. First of all, I don't like that to begin with. Second of all, they're both the same color, meaning I don't really know which is like the one I'm supposed to do. The sizing is inconsistent. To me, you could argue that, okay, that defines the hierarchy, right? The bigger one is the bolder button they were supposed to click. But to me, to my eye, and I think to a lot of other people too, looks more like a mistake than anything. It looks like we just kind of made a button, then made another button, and we didn't really care if they matched each other or anything like that. So those are my biggest problems right now. We always want to give people a really clear call to action. Right now we have 2. So basically we have schedule an appointment. That's just for everybody. Then we have $99 off your first visit, which is great. That's a good thing to incentivize people to come in for. Then we've got kind of a big wall of text here, which especially on mobile is never great. There are definitely times on mobile when we want to pare stuff out. We want to take stuff away because on desktop, we have the luxury of kind of almost creating a little world, right? Of all the different kind of sensory experiences because we've got space for it. On mobile though, people are definitely much less patient with stuff. They kind of want to get to what they need. We do still want to show them why they would want to work with you or hire you, but we need to be much smarter about that. No one is going to read all of this text I'm looking at right here when they're trying to find a dentist on their phone. And then we've got this big gallery of photos, which the top 2, I can kind of see the reason for them. It personalizes it because this is of the actual space and of the actual doctor. But then we're looking at some here, like the one of these three girls kind of with their arms in the air. That looks like a stock photo. Then I'm looking at a bunch of coffee cups. I don't know that that's gonna be a driver to get me into the dentist based on their coffee. So you gotta really think about, is it worth people having to scroll through all this stuff? Is the juice worth the squeeze for seeing those images? I say they're not. So then we have all the services here. Then we have, okay, this is interesting. We offer $88 emergency exams and x-rays. I might say if people are on their phone, they might be having an emergency. So I think we might want to make a little bit of a bigger deal about that in the new revised version. Okay, so now let's take a look at the revised version that I've created for the Smile Lounge. So I've kind of updated the look slightly. I know that's not really the point of a good user experience, but I also wanted to throw in, I couldn't help myself to kind of just ramp up the aesthetics a little bit. So what we had going in was a very, it felt very Oregon, right? In a good way. Like that kind of, don't want to say the word hipster necessarily, it's got connotations, but I wanted to keep that kind of Portland, vibe a little bit. So what I did was, remember how before this image was like really big, it was from here to here, the text was covering his face. Now we get a sense of the whole picture, the whole family, and we've taken the headline and moved it down here. And I've shortened up the sub-headline a bit too, because at the end of the day, you don't need to reinvent the wheel and educate people on what you do as a dentist. They understand that. So then we've replaced those two call to actions with one that just says schedule an appointment. That's for the most amount of people who are going to be coming to your website to schedule something. But then what I've done is I've made a bigger deal about the dental emergency thing, because the way I figure it, if people are looking for a dentist and they're on their phone, they may very well be out somewhere and they need to see somebody now. So I just put it right up top, like right beneath the hero, just to make sure that it's not lost, because on the other version, it was way down the page. So I want to make sure people know that here. And then, I'm carrying over the same color for the call to action button, because there's not always a good reason to do that, but here I think there is. So basically they would tap this and that would call the office. It wouldn't take them to someplace to schedule it. It would just be a really this is an emergency, we're calling you right now kind of thing. So then underneath that, we have our $99 new patient special, and then they can call to book that as well. Then I'm trying to get to the good stuff as soon as possible. The stuff that's going to make people actually want to work with you, which is not that big wall of text. It is not that big gallery of images. I'm talking testimonials here. This is what people really want to see. They want to see reviews from real people. That's what's going to help them make up their mind more than anything. So this is just a nice clean design. I chose to use an emoji here simply because I think doing that gives a little bit more personality to any website. And I think that really goes with what we're doing here, right? Your current website with the images, with the colors you're using, has kind of that bright, sunny personality. Wanted to carry that over a little bit here. So we've just cherry picked, our top 3 testimonials. And then we want to have a button here, or just like a text link to see more reviews on Google. Most people will not ever click through to that, but just having that there and telling people, hey, you can click through here and there's more waiting for you. It's just a psychological thing. Even if they don't click through, it gives them the sense that, okay, there's probably a bunch more testimonials. Don't need to read them, but they're there. All right, so then I wanted to definitely use this image of the doctor here, Dr. Henderson, because I always am a fan of humanizing a business, right? And when you never include any trace of you as the business owner or anything to do with the actual business, if it's all stock photos and it's all photos meant to represent your customers, I love that. I love customer photos. I love using them in the hero section, but I also like to use photos of the people behind the business where it's appropriate. I think further down the page here, where you're introducing yourself as the business owner, interacting with a real patient, I think this is the place to do it. And I think this is a great photo, as opposed to the one we didn't even get that far down on the current website, but there's more of that corporate headshot photo there. I like this better because it puts it in context. It makes it feel like he's warm and friendly and like he does well with his patients. So that's what I put there. And then I finished the page out with a simple call to action section where it just says, if you're ready now, you just got to press this button and here we go. But now it's time to go to our next website, which came to us from Active Dad, and that is scalevideoagency.com. So let's check out what they've got to show us. Okay, so here we go with Scale Video Agency. So right away, right off the bat, I'm overwhelmed, right? You hear me say the word chaotic all the time about websites. And this one really, that's the word I would use to describe what I'm looking at so far. So we've got the a hero background, and I think it's actually a video. I think it may just be buffering. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to refresh this just so we can see. I think it's, it is a background video, which adds even more to the chaos in my opinion. So we've got a headline, we've got a subheadline, and then a call to action button. In my opinion, none of these elements are really in the right place on the screen. What I would do is make sure everything is kind of more or less vertically centered to where it's a lot less close to the top and closer to the bottom actually than it is now. And I'm having a hard time reading these words over the top of that video. So those are a few problems. Then I want to direct your attention to the bottom here. So basically we've got three icons, a $, a house, and an upward arrow. I imagine that the house button is like will take you back to the home page. The money one, maybe that's pricing, I guess. The upward arrow, I really have no idea what that's for. This is what we call mystery meat navigation. So we always want to make sure that we're not doing that. Use words, or if you're going to use icons, make sure that these are icons that are well established, that people are going to know what it is. I highly recommend actually just if you've got this book your strategy session button, I really like having that call to action button be persistent on the bottom, just where these other icons are. So if you're going to do something, I would just do that instead. Okay, so let's go down the page here. So our next section, we have like a background image with an autoplay video on the top of it. Already there's a lot happening here again. So between the top section and now this, I'm thoroughly overwhelmed. And to make it even worse, I guess, this video autoplays and I'm clicking on it and then it turns the music off, or the sound off, but it was off to begin with. So if I wanted to watch this with sound on, because you're talking in this video, I don't know how to make that happen. So that's a problem. Then we get to kind of this section, we listen, we create, we implement, which on the face of it sounds good, except for I feel like this is anyone. This would be any video production company, right? They're never going to they're never going to create something without listening to what you want first. They're not just going to say, okay, name your business, got it, I'm going to make a video for you now. So, and then we create, obviously, we implement. That might be the one thing that's a little different here. So at the end of the day, as I'm scrolling down this page, there's just a lot happening. There doesn't seem to be a great flow to anything. All the text is really way too close to the boundaries of everything. Like, see where this gray and black section meet? Like the text should be removed, should be pushed back from those boundaries a little bit, just to give that little bit of white space, that separation. Makes people feel much more at ease when they're on your website, because once you overwhelm them, they're kind of just going to leave. So going through here, we've got what I would actually say, we have a lot of sections here that don't necessarily need to be on the homepage. I think FAQs is actually good for the homepage. I might put all of these FAQs into like accordion, so the text isn't all visible. It would be more like you'd click on an FAQ that you want to know the answer to, and it would open it up into something. But then let's see what else. This is just a really long homepage. We have our work with one video. Oh, it's this. Okay, it's a slideshow. Okay, I mean, that's not bad. Pricing, I think pricing, love to include pricing, but I don't think it needs to go on the homepage. I think it should be its own page specifically. And then again, just a lot of stuff here that should probably be broken out into other pages. And then just to show you, we've got this infographic that nobody would be able to read. It's a good illustration of what doesn't always work on what works on desktop does not always translate over to mobile, and this is a prime example of that. So I think I've seen enough here. I think we're going to go ahead now and reveal the new version that I've created for Scale Video Agency. Let's take a look. Okay, so here is my new version that I've created. So what I've attempted to do here is simplify what's happening. So what I did for the hero section is I actually used some content from the existing hero and some from the section that was beneath it. Remember where it had that autoplay video. So wanted to simplify and also make it feel a little bit more modern, a little bit more alive. And I think that this has accomplished that. So we say, can video bring you consistent quality leads? See for yourself. And that points to a video where, and this is not the same video that they're using. You don't have to use this one necessarily. I just like something that it takes some cues from really good YouTube thumbnails that make people actually want to click on it. So if this were just kind of just this woman's face without the wow and without this, I think people wouldn't necessarily be that inclined to watch it. But when you use words like wow, and it's like almost showing a reaction, it opens up a loop in someone's mind that they want to see what she's reacting to so strongly and how it might help my business too. So, and I actually really like using a video in a hero section for businesses that require a little bit of explanation, right? So this particular business really talks about how they're different from the average video production company. And I want to see that told to me in a video form. So I think that's a great use of the hero section right here. Then we've got a nice subheadline letting them know exactly what we do. Clear call to action to book a strategy session right there. And I didn't do it here, but I might recommend just having that be sticky right down here so it's always visible as we scroll. So you just have to imagine that, I guess. And then on the existing website, they had a section all about what they get from what you get when you hire somebody else versus what you get when you hire us. But it was broken out into two different sections. So it was that works on desktop really well because you can have those next to each other. On mobile, there's no next to each other really. It's like everything gets stacked. So what I did is I just did, a simple table of here's what you get with us that you don't get with them. Getting to know your business, create a custom video strategy so they can see at a glance how you're different, which I think is just a really smart thing to do. So then we've got kind of that section that just talks about the problem that they're facing and how you uniquely solve it. And notice how this is not a big wall of text. I've broken it up. I've put key phrases and key ideas in bold so that they don't have to read all this, because I've said it before, I'll say it again, people skim websites, they don't read them. So the more you can bold or italicize or put a color on the key phrases that you really want people to see, the more likely they are to see it. So, and then I've actually put a photo of Jimmy Conover, the business owner here, because again, as in the last example, I love seeing a real presence of a business owner or the people behind the business in the right place because it humanizes it. So I think this is a great way to do that right here. Then I've got a nice little testimonial section. And this just shows you you can phrase testimonials in different ways. It doesn't always just have to be what our clients are saying or testimonials. This says, do our clients love us or just the ROI we bring them? It implants that seed in their mind of, we actually bring a positive ROI with what we do. We don't just make pretty videos. So just a clever way to do that. And we've got all these different testimonials here. These might be videos if you wanted to do that with just like a snippet of text pulled out of it. And I also love using the 5-star emojis graphic that helps sell it visually that this is indeed a 5-star review. And then a link to reading more success stories or more testimonials. That would just go to a different page on the site. Are we a good fit for your business? So this is taking a cue from a section that they had on their website, basically saying who are we for and who are we not for? Because any business is not for everybody. And Does this need to go on the homepage? Not necessarily, but I think it's a good thing to include on the homepage because then people really see if they fit into one of these, then okay, they are for me and my business. And I just included a nice long skinny picture, right? Not a tall one that people have to scroll a long ways to see. This picture I loved because it speaks to the professionalism of what you offer. We've got actual equipment here, but yet she looks very much at ease. So this one picture does a lot of heavy lifting of showing we have the equipment, we take care of the hard stuff, you just have to sit there and we'll do all the hard work, right? It visually says that. And then I've ended it again with that just nice clear call to action section of if you're ready, this is the button you got to click. Okay, but now it's time for our third website, which is turbopersonaltraining.com, and that was sent in by Jamal D. So let's take a look at this one. Okay, so we're on the website right now, and basically I'm seeing a few things. So first of all, I'm not even seeing their logo or their business name anywhere on here, which is a problem because that makes it feel, to me, again, it feels like a mistake. It doesn't feel like it was intentional. So, and when you don't have any branding, people are going to trust you a lot less. If you don't have the name of your business, there's nothing for them to really latch onto there. So let's just start right off with the hero section up at the top. So what we have here is a slideshow, right? It's 3 different graphics with 3 different colors overlaid. Actually, I think it might be 4. And each one basically has a different little statement on it. So I am not a fan, and this is not just me. They've done studies on this. Slideshows just don't work very well on websites. The better thing to do is really focus on one core message that is your headline. When you try to be all things, all people, and you feel like you can't settle on a message, that again, it feels chaotic a little bit. It feels like we don't really know who we are as a business, which is a problem. So I would rather see, and by the way, if you're going to do a slideshow, the right way to do it is to keep the same messaging consistent. Like the words in the call to action button stay in place. They don't move at all. The background image can move but it's in the background, right? I like to do this a lot when you've got a few different types of customers you serve and you don't want to leave anybody out. You want to show that we work with, men as well as women, as well as older people, as well as younger people. That can do a good job of that. But when it comes to a gym like this, I'd rather just see one great shot of, doesn't even have to be the gym. It should be that's another problem I have with this. These are all pictures of an empty gym. Some are that photo that just showed, the yellow one, it looked like things weren't even picked up. Like it was not a very inviting photo, at least in my opinion. So what you really want to do, first of all, it's this picture I'm talking about right there. I would highly recommend spending a little bit of money on getting a great photographer in, get some of your best customers, do a cool photo shoot of people actually working out in there. Because the other thing that people don't generally like, people shy away from anything that's empty, right? You don't want to go to an empty restaurant. You don't want your gym to be crowded, but I feel like you also don't want it to be empty. I think that would feel a little spooky sometimes. So I would highly recommend investing a little bit in some good photography. Then you don't have to rely on the color overlays on top of it. So let's keep going down. Let's see what else we've got here. We've got our unique spin on fitness. Okay, we just talk about basically one-on-one partner in training. You'll have fun, our high-end sound system. You'll be immersed in the sound and lighting system, room transforms, okay. And then we have more photos here. Again, not great photos, but at least there's people in them this time, which is good. So let's see, we believe that fitness is self-care, okay. Not sure that that's really like something that people need to scroll through to see. Oh, and then we finally have your logo here as well. Then we have a few testimonials. They're slightly hard to read. They're not that hard to read. Like I can make them out, but testimonials are so important. I would always make them very easy to read and always put the person's photo with it if you can get away with it. If you ask their permission and they let you do that, that's going to make it come alive so much more. And use that 5-star graphic, right? Rather than a quotation mark, you want it to sell it as a 5-star review, not just a random quote. Let's keep going, more photos of the cool lighting. So then we get a little blurb about perfect place to let your stress melt. So it's a lot of text, right? It's a lot of text here, but what I'm not really seeing is that clear benefit section of what do you get with us? I've already seen like you've got a great sound system, you've got, cool lighting, but I had to read big blocks of text to get that. That's not what you want. You definitely want like little sections like with an image representing it, a headline and some text, letting them know at a glance what it is they're getting. So that's super important. So with that all said and done, let's just go ahead and take a look at my version for Turbo. Okay, so here we've got the version that I created. So what we have here, you'll notice, is an image of a person. People connect better to this. Now, if you cater more to women than men, you may want to think about using that image instead, or we can do what I talked about where you use basically a slideshow of maybe this guy or a guy. It doesn't have to be this guy, it's stock. You would do your own. Or you could use something like this. I really feel like as long as the background's kind of blurred out the way this is, you could get away with using stock photos if you needed to. And maybe you would have something like between this guy, maybe a girl, maybe someone who's like a little less in shape. Because let's face it, I think a lot of people are looking to get in shape and they don't want to feel like this guy looks like he could be, an Iron Man or something. Sometimes people feel intimidated by that and you want to show more of a real, like quote, real body, right? So think about what you'd want to do there. But this text would stay in place. Gotta stress that. That doesn't mean this text is gonna scroll out and then the same text is gonna scroll in. I see that a lot too. The text in the button stays exactly where it is at all times. Got it? Cool. All right, so then I basically simplified all those multiple messages into one-on-one training to crush your fitness goals and have some fun while we do it. Because I think that was what I took away from your website was you help people achieve their goals, but it's not like boot camp, it's fun. So I think this is a good way to do it. Then just a really simple, clear schedule a session button. And then as we scroll down, we have this section, we're your partner in training. I basically took a little bit from what I found on your site, but I simplified it, I shortened it. I put in the bolding where I thought it was good to do it. And I use a different image of just kind of people having more fun because again, the images on your site are basically an empty gym or just like one person working out. So I thought this was a little bit more fun. You'd probably want to use something in your gym though, because this is clearly showing somebody else's gym. You wouldn't want to do that. Then we have we're repeating the schedule a session button. So we're giving people multiple opportunities to book in. Then we have a benefit section. We help you stay on top of your progress. I saw this on your website. You have, progress reports that you share with them, that you make sure they're accountable. And then obviously this is dummy text, but you would fill it in with a short description of that. Then we make it fun. Here's where you would talk about your lighting, the great sound system you have, all that kind of stuff. Then this is basically another benefit, but I've used it to segue into all that you offer. So we keep you on your toes with variety. So we have all of these different classes. I found these on your site. So each one basically talks about a different session that they could book, gives the price, button to schedule it. Couldn't be easier. And I've only got 3 here, but you basically want to what I recommend doing, because you have a bunch on there, when it comes to scrolling on mobile, I would highly recommend thinking, okay, what are the bare number of types of sessions that account for 80% of our business? Okay, so if 80% of your clients, at least for the first time, book only between these 3 different things, then only include those. Don't give people too many options right out of the gate, because then they'll get confused and not know what to book. You can have all those on a dedicated page, but on your homepage, keep it to we know these are the 2 or 3 things that almost everybody books for the first time. Hopefully that makes sense. And by the way, if you're not a gym watching this, that applies to so many different types of businesses. You don't need to talk about every service you offer on your homepage. pare it down to the top 2 or 3 that are by far the most popular. In almost every case, you'll find that carries over. So then we've got another testimonial section. These really look more like testimonials than what they have on their current site, because they're just much more in your face. They have the 5 stars, they have the image of the person. This really speaks as a testimonial better. Then again, you're noticing a theme here for all 3 of these. We're ending it with that clear call to action section so that they know exactly what to do when they're ready to go. Now, if you want to go even further into what you can do to your website for both mobile and desktop to bring in way more clients automatically month after month, I want to invite you to my free masterclass training. It's called the Automated Clients on Demand Website Blueprint for Service Businesses. And in that training, I'm going to show you everything you need to include on a wildly profitable client generating website. So just click right here and save your spot for free.